In this video, you'll learn how to set up employees, pay items, rates, and burden amounts. You can view your list of employees in Contact Management by clicking the Active Employees link. This shows all Contact Management contacts who are assigned to your company, the one that appears in the upper left. If you're assigned to the Administrator or Financial Administrator security roles, you can also see your employees and pay rates in the HR module. And this is exactly the same list you see in Contact Management. However, the HR module has a few more built-in functions specific to employees. So in this video, we'll work in the HR module. Other standard security roles cannot see employee-specific pay rates. If your Sage Construction Management System is integrated with an accounting or ERP system such as Sage Intacct Construction, you can import basic employee information, excluding pay rates, from that system into Sage Construction Management. Each employee's setup will be linked between the two systems. You can find more information about importing employees from an integrated accounting system in the Help Center. Let's start by looking at the employee setup. On the HR Overview page, next to Active Employees, click the ellipsis button and select Add Manually. The red asterisks indicate the required fields. Note that employees can be made inactive if they no longer work for your company. If the employee is also a user in Sage Construction Management, and most of the time this is the case, the Is User checkbox will be selected. You can't modify this setting here in the Employee Setup window. And since we're setting this employee up manually, the checkbox isn't selected yet. You work with users in the Settings area, and we'll cover that in the last video in this lesson. The email address is required for employees, as that enables them to send and receive correspondence. Under Employee Information, note that the employee ID is not required by Sage Construction Management, but it's often required by other ERP or payroll systems, so it's a good practice to always include it. The employee ID cannot be imported from integrated accounting systems. The Is Salesperson checkbox should be selected if you want to be able to select the employee as the sales contact for leads and projects. There are filters for the salesperson in several areas of the system, so using this checkbox lets you take advantage of those. If the employee will need to track time and expenses related to jobs, select the Track Time and Expenses checkbox. Click Save and Close, and this takes us to the new employee's profile. Enter the employee's educational degrees by clicking Add. Once the information is saved, you'll see it in the education list. You can also track registrations, such as trade certifications or industry association memberships. Now let's talk about payroll rates for the employees. Sage Construction Management tracks several different types of payroll rates. You can assign a default, standard payroll rate to any employee, to be used when other rates don't apply. Employees can also have project-specific rates, when their labor has a different rate for a specific job. Union rates, to be used on union jobs. And prevailing wage rates for certified payroll jobs. Sage Construction Management allows you to import your standard payroll rates for multiple employees at a time. We'll walk through how to set rates up manually for an employee first, and then we'll look at the import spreadsheet. You'll typically have a set of payroll items that apply to employees in various scenarios, such as standard time, overtime, double time, and so on. Before entering standard payroll rates, you'll want to set these types up in Settings. We'll review all settings related to labor and equipment expenses in the last video in this lesson. Click Add to enter a new rate. Each payroll rate can have an effective date, which determines when it is applied. This lets you plan ahead for pay rate increases and other scenarios. Enter the base rate, and then you have two options for setting up burden rates. The simplest way is to enter an amount to be added per hour. Another option is available if you set up default payroll burden items in settings. Let's do it that way, and we'll go over how to set up burdens in an upcoming video. Click View, and then click Import to show the list of payroll burdens already set up. Each of these burden components will be applied to each pay item for this employee. Select the ones you want, and click Add. Now that we've added burden items, you can see that the total rate reflects the sum of the base rate plus all burden items. You'll also enter a bill rate, or the amount you'll bill project owners for this employee's time. The bill rate should be higher than the total rate to make sure all of your costs are covered. So now that you've seen how to set up a payroll rate manually, let's look at that import spreadsheet. On the HR overview page, the payroll stats area shows the list of payroll types and the number of employees that have that rate type in their employee profile. The Actions button lets us import employee and labor payroll rates using a spreadsheet. You can easily find the import spreadsheet template. Open the Help Center and click Getting Started. The Import options from Microsoft Excel topic has links to all of the templates. Scroll down to Time and Miscellaneous Expenses and click the Employee Payroll Item Rates topic. In this topic, you see the table explaining each column heading and a link to the template, so let's open it. The import lets you set pay rates for multiple employees at once, so the first required column is the employee. You'll want to use the display name from the employee's profile page as the value for this column, and it must match exactly. The payroll code should correspond to the standard payroll items in settings, and again, this code should match exactly. If you enter a project number, the rate will be stored as a project-specific payroll rate. Leave it blank if you want the rate to apply to all jobs the employee works on. If you do enter a job, that job ID must already have been set up in the system. This import spreadsheet is set up with standard and job-specific pay rates for the employee we just added, but you can include multiple employees on different lines in this spreadsheet. Sage Construction Management always looks for the most current payroll rate, and a rate without an effective date is considered most current. Let's go ahead and import it. On the HR overview page, next to Active Employees, click Actions, Import Employee Payroll Rates. Click Choose File, and select the file to import. Once the records are imported, check the employee to make sure everything looks correct. When you're ready to enter a new standard payroll rate for this employee, you can edit any existing rates without effective dates to add a date in the past, and then enter the new rate with no effective date. Remember, the effective date is the date that the rate will start being applied. For example, let's imagine an employee has 3 standard time rates. Rate 1 has no effective date. Rate 2 has an effective date on May 1, 2024. Rate 3 has an effective date of July 1, 2024. A time card dated April 30, 2024 uses Rate 1. A time card dated May 1 uses Rate 2. And a time card dated July 6 uses Rate 3. In this video, You learned how to set up employees, pay items, rates, and burden amounts.